Well, the end is come and gone. Mandalorian Season 3 episode Whoever Cares has passed yesterday, and Kingsley and I are going to talk about it. Stick around. All right, Kingsley, we're going away from the format again this week because it's the end of the season. We're not holding anything back. We're going to get into Mandalorian Season 3. I think it was episode 9, 8.
Episode 8, Chapter 20.
Thank you.
The Return.
The Return. See, now you know what the fun part about that is? If you watch the show the day it comes out, they actually don't have a title for it. It just says like the number designation, like the Return. I had no idea that was what the title was because yesterday when I watched it,
called The Return.
The Return. How inspired. Last week it was called The Spies. I still don't know who's spying on anything. I don't think that point's been made clear by any kind of consideration there. The Mandalorians that I thought were the spies, they weren't the spies. You know?
I tell you one thing, they're saying The Return, but I know a lot of people who will not be returning if there's a season 4.
Oh man, it's like the return of a bad case of Taco Bell induced diarrhea for a lot of people. What I'm saying, dude.
That's what I had for dinner tonight.
There it is. So if we cut this episode short, it's because King Z's weak digestive system is caught up with them, aided by the Taco Bell fury. But anyway, dude, I say we go off short format again. Let's just wrap this thing up. Like how we do. Like we get into some things. You said before we started that you feel a couple of different kinds of ways about this one. So I'm wondering if we're gonna flip flop our usual roles this week about who dumps on things harder or who dumps on things not at all. Because I'll just say, I'll let you go first. I just wanted to say, I was pleasantly surprised, believe it or not. It was strange. I was not expecting that to be the case.
What? Okay, so good. I will say that this was the best episode of the season. Okay. I will say that, and my wife agrees. She said the same thing. Bad. It was a video game. If you follow, it hit all the video
side
game
scroller.
beats.
Oh, dude, it was a platform jumping side scroller from like the mid 90s, 100%, literally, literally.
But yeah, the show itself this season extremely disappointing compared to the last 2 seasons and how much I actually liked the Mandalorian coming into season 3. Yep. I believe that it took a 180, hit that thing hard in reverse, and now. Who knows anymore? But
let me ask you this before you jump into anything else, right? Is this unequivocally the weakest of the 3 seasons?
Yes.
Okay.
Hands down.
That's not even a point for debate, right? Like if I charged you with being devil's advocate, right? Would you even have a case to present of how season 1 or 2 wasn't better than this season? You're a smart guy. If I gave you a few days to prepare a case, what do you like? I just don't see it happening. I really don't. I think the first 6. What would you say? This was 9, right? Episode 9 was the wrap up.
Episode 9, chapter 20. So it's the 20th episode overall of the Mandalorian.
So out of 9 episodes this year, I'm saying no fewer than 6 of them were a complete mess. Complete mess. They might have had 2 or 3 really good ones along the way, including the opener, which I thought was all right. It was a nice little jump back into the world. I didn't like the Pirate King discount Swamp Thing character. I just thought that looked too stupid and kind of ruined things. I'm in the minority where I liked the Elsewhere episode that had the former Imperial Doctor being kind of sold out by Gideon's spy. I mean, was she the spy? I guess she was the spy.
She was
in her
the
5-second scene. 5-second scene, they named the episode after her. But anyway, and then this episode, the last one, wasn't bad. I'll do it better. It was okay. Wasn't poor, wasn't bad. It was somewhere in the middle for a couple of different reasons. We're going to unpack a lot of that as we go, I'm thinking here.
It was the Bob Uecker of episodes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an apt and fair comparison. It's kind of like, let me do another one where I back you up. Where are you with the season finale of year 2 with the Luke Skywalker return? Were you in the liked it camp or the didn't like? Okay, so we're both there. Okay.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I don't care if they deep fake Luke.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. I was just gonna say that.
But it still made Luke look completely badass.
Prime. Jedi Master in his prime. Yep. Dude, I still watch that scene on YouTube weekly. with like the cut up with like the I Need a Hero cut up. That's an amazing little bit of editing. It's really fun to watch. It's like he's doing all kinds of sword fu with the lightsaber, dude. He's force crushing these things and just like squeeze. Yeah, dude, that was great. Okay, so we're on the same page for that as far as finales go. I submit to you that the show should have just ended there completely, right? There was no need for this season at all, and nothing I saw this year is going to convince me otherwise, because they covered no new ground for him, for the Mandalorian himself, or the Din Grogu character that they think people are still going to turn up for. And I just don't see it, and I think their numbers bear it out this year. There was too long of a gap in between seasons 2 and 3. Yep. And the ending of season 2 was so emotionally gratifying for so many people to see Grogu and Din's arc come to a logical and heartfelt conclusion, and the reintroduction of Jedi Master Luke Skywalker doing Jedi Master Luke Skywalker shit finally.
Yep.
No thanks to you, TLJ. You know I don't like that movie. But this season here ending as it did. Give me some general thoughts on just the ending of this episode. We're going to do this all out of order today because I'm not going scene by scene because there's just not that much, like you said. It's a video game.
It's a video game. The ending is a classical right off into the sunset Western
literally
ending.
Yep. Very.
It's the ranch.
Yeah.
They're out there playing.
He's sitting on the porch, boots up.
And his feet are up for the first time. Still with his helmet on, though. Still with his helmet on.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah. I was digging that vibe also. One of the other things that I really enjoyed about this episode, and if we were doing our, 3-point thing, if we were doing that, this would have been the big part that I enjoyed. I'll give direct credit to Filoni and Favreau, whoever wrote more of this episode. They surprised me in that they didn't do the Manzel in distress thing. The Mandalorian was captured at the end of the previous episode. Literally the entire planet Bo-Katan was going to come riding to his rescue because he'd been cucked and because he's not the Mandalorian anymore. The show is the Woe Mandalorian. My dude got himself out of a jam, albeit with a little bit of help from a different character, but one you could arguably make a case for because they're family, you know what I mean? So I like that it was Din and Grogu working the escape thing, and it kind of just ran parallel with what Bo-Katan was doing with her people elsewhere until they do the other link up, which is with the family thing that I'm really getting at here. At the end, it was a bit cheesy. Gideon says, you Mandalorians aren't much when you lose your trinkets, and she basically pulls the Dom Toretto line, and she's like, no, we're stronger when we have family, blah blah blah, and then the rest of the gang comes cruising in on 10-second cars and supers and shit. No, it's basically just Din Djarin and Grogu show up, and the three of them lay the smack down on Gideon, which was cool. So I was feeling that little vibe, especially with the I am Groot thing that Baby Yoda does at the end. I was like, okay, they took that directly from Guardians of the Galaxy, but whatever. It's a sensible thing to do.
The part I like, and going back to, is that Din was back to himself. You saw like he was like back in form.
Yeah.
When he was fighting
good
to
hand
get the
to
release.
hand. Yeah.
Yeah, of course he's outnumbered. He's gonna take his licks, and he can't have eyes in the back of his head always. That rope around his neck, but you're right.
Yep.
They come in with a hot tag.
3 times they got him with the rope around the neck. 3 times.
Yeah, but Grogu comes in with the hot tag, takes out the guy from behind.
Yep.
But then, look, my favorite part of it was the classic video game level up. I have no weapons. I'm gonna go up with these two guys. All right, now I have a knife. From a knife, I went to a shield and a stick. And from a shield and a stick, I got 2 guns.
Yeah.
And I even liked it, like in the first one, like when he fought the first pair, like he reached for the guy's gun as he was falling and he missed it. He's like, "Gotta do it with a knife now."
Yep, it was good shit. It's episodes and moments like that, right? That seriously make me throw the tinfoil hat on and be like, you want to believe Star Trek's turning a corner. You want to believe it's getting back to form, like back in the day, original trilogy. You want to believe it, right? And then so the conspiracy is like, dude, were they told they had to like just write X number of bad episodes with their other bullshit they had to include, and then they slip in good shit like this to like tell you like, well, we tried to give you good shit, but we had to have this other shit. Like this episode, in terms of its narrative flow, like most of it worked logically well. But then you get to stuff like you just said, it's like they cleverly wrote that scene to have him progressively take his licks, re-gear back up so he can continue to fight. The odds stack against him, so he has to be clever about the moves he uses. And I like that about the hand-to-hand in this from just about everybody, from Din all the way down to the other Mandalorians. Like, they're doing lots of like shots at like knees and feet and weak points in the armor, just like single blaster shots to like loosen up the target, and then they're going in. The hand-to-hand with like the punches to the face still looks really stupid, but at least when they're up close and they're jabbing like vibro blades and daggers into like the soft points and armor, I'm like, okay, well that's what an elite crack team of mercenaries would do. They wouldn't just sit there and throw blaster fire at the wall and hope for the best. Like, they'd adapt their tactics. Lots of jetpacks with Superman punches to like people that aren't looking, cool takedowns, all kinds of good stuff. But conspiracy stuff aside, there wasn't that, like, those kind of progressive moments where it's like there was a little bitty challenge, like he didn't get the gun like you said, so he had to just adapt on the fly and do other cool shit. And like, where has that been for 8 episodes except for now? Like, except for this one, it's been lacking this year, objectively lacking, I think.
Yep. And that's the part I didn't like about the game, because it hinted at the part that we both wanted. He's like, I'm a bounty hunter by trade, now I have an apprentice, and I'll take some contracts on. It's like, this is what we've wanted the whole time. It's like a bounty hunter show. Like, it's the whole reason why we got excited about Boba Fett. Like, he was a bounty hunter. Yep. And we thought it was like him coming back and then going into like, maybe someone owed him money, someone did him wrong. Yep. Not him trying to become a Don.
A benevolent Don. Don't forget that part. Like, he didn't take it over with an iron fist. Like, he was going to take it over and unionize and have a better 401k and, you know, profit sharing and shit like that, apparently. Yeah. So, but you know what, I wonder if, and maybe this is just because at this point, you know, Disney doesn't have writers on hand that are able to just tell an adult story, like a gritty adult story that is fantastical in its setting, but has adult subject matter to contend with, like that, like dark past, like alcoholism, like, you know, debts being owed, like codes of honor, like realistic consequences for your actions, like the ripple effects of the things you do. Like, maybe somebody that Din turned in or put down has a family member that's coming a calling for him. You know, like, there's all these kind of angles they could have played. And we spent all this time through this season. Dude, if you asked me randomly what episode 3 was, I have no idea. Couldn't tell you. I'd have to go back to Wikipedia and like look. Like, I don't remember. Like, it's in one and out the other as soon as we're done, except for standout moments that come through, you know? There's episodes of Star Trek Next Generation from like 92 that I could recite verbatim now, you know what I mean? Because it was just a better written, more interesting show because they tackled interesting ideas. This whole thing about being a video game, like you said, like from the rip of the episode, it's jetpack fight versus jetpack fight, you know, TIE fighters going up into orbit, you know, passing targets that they should have shot down, but I mean, okay, I mean, whatever. There was a capital ship, I guess we're going to attack that.
That's the part I'm going to get into.
There were some dumb. Yeah, like, there's definitely some dumb.
I am going to call the jetpacks the magic of a bad fantasy. It's there to fix any problem.
Yeah.
And it's very true. Because not only did he make it all the way to space with his jetpack and on board, but also...
Point of contention. Hold on. He was not in space. I believe he was in atmosphere, because I said the same thing, because we said that last week. Like, this dude's going to fly into orbit with this jetpack? How's it going to combust? No idea. How does it have that kind of range? No idea. I don't think he was in space, but I think you've got a case if you were going to say range. There's no way he had enough juice for it. He's already used it, you know?
Yeah, because everything he does, he uses his jetpack.
Right.
When he fights, he's
not on a full
fighter.
tank. Not running a full tank. Not even close.
And then the droid has its own jetpack now to get down there and, you know... oh no! How are we going to get the droid down there? Just throw a jetpack on him that he has built into his legs that we've never seen before.
They're going to tell you R2 had that prequel trilogy, though. You know, that's what the detractors will tell you. Like, well, we showed you another R series that had that. And we'd never seen this one use it. So you're right. It is kind of like, what's a Deus Ex a little bit. Yeah, and did he even did they need that droid at all? Were they just trying to reenact the garbage compactor thing with like you know, from the original movie.
That,
like,
that is
there was
kind
some
of,
tension, I guess.
That is kind of the trope in Star Wars, is the droid and being able to access and do things through the access panel. That is kind of a thing that they have.
I mean, R2 does it in every movie he's in. Yeah, that's true.
And
I will say this: I thought it was kind of funny. It was an honest chuckle when when R4 squares off with the mouse droid and zaps it R2 style. But then the mouse droid comes back with like 8 other ones. But all they can do is like bump into him gently. Like they don't have lasers of their own or anything. Like they have little sirens and they just bump. And he's like, fuck you guys, I'm leaving. He just uses the jet things again. And he pieces out. It's like la-di-da. Like he wasn't captured. He wasn't destroyed or anything.
And then on to number 2.
But it was still an honest chuckle.
You see the dropships go into the clouds. Then you see the TIE fighters come out of the exact same clouds.
Oh, dude. Tell me I wasn't screaming at the screen when I saw it. Like, you guys mean to tell me you have the opportunity to destroy reinforcements, but you're flying into space at a capital ship? Like, come on. Like, they have shields. I don't know why we didn't have shields on that ship. We know they have shields. But they didn't have the shields up for some reason. So he gets downed by 4 fucking TIE fighters that they show. I mean, there were more, I'm sure. Yeah. They showed a bunch dropping from the hangar, but still. Shields. Shields, guy. Raise the shields. He just sits in the chair.
And takes it.
Right. Like, I don't know. Why don't you just take your helmet off and complete the stupid picture? You know what I mean?
He barely got the anti-ship guns firing, but he's firing the big guns and not even the anti-fighter guns.
No,
of course he's going to miss.
He's in the bombardments. Oh, dude, to be a writer in the room, like, no, wrong guns, guys, wrong guns. But Favreau and Filoni should know that, and that's what I mean. Like, for all the ordainment we give these guys about being like the Star Wars saviors and like experts in the subject matter because they're the geeks and they know and they would never do. They've done an awful lot of stuff that suggests maybe they don't know, some of these kind of things. I mean, it's like some common knowledge stuff in a lot of ways, the shit they get wrong.
And then we're going to go back to them walking back stuff literally less than a minute later. I don't talk binary. Okay, you're sending it to me. I got it. How did he know if he doesn't speak binary?
I don't know, dude. Well, you want to talk about walking stuff back a minute later, dude? Why all of a sudden is R4 your good buddy? Like, why? Like now you love droids or something? Like that's a resolution to that character trait of not trusting droids and other stupid shit. See, this is a quintessential episode of this season, this year for me. They have some cool ideas that are kind of there, that they're in there. There's some good stuff in there, but then it's like at the slightest bit of scrutiny, like glancing shot, it's like you can just destroy all the goodwill that they bring up by doing cool stuff like I said before about not having Bo-Katan just march down into a detention center and bust Din out of a jail cell, where they can actually show her, talking about taking licks. Like, dude, Moff Gideon roughs her up, dude. She gets roughed. I don't know what kind of power armor dude built into the Darth Maul Witch King from Lord of the Rings badass Iron Man suit that he had, but like he broke her hand in the Darksaber in like one move. Yeah, like compressed it. That was awesome. I was like, okay, that's a tension-filled scene right there. Like, it's not just a weapon. It's like the religious or symbolic, artifact of her people. Like, now she's got to go back up there, win, lose, or draw, and be like, I ain't got that shit.
Yeah.
So who's in charge now? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Making no sense at all. And I feel like that's most of what we got this year.
Yeah.
What were some of the other endings? Because I feel like the show had like Return to the King vibes.
Well, you had the droid. Yeah. If we want to walk through the whole ending, the whole build up for the climax, you walk through the clone room, which I thought enter in bad guy monologue now as they're walking through.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, 5 seconds later.
Yeah, but no, yeah. And then they just kill all the clones. They didn't mean anything.
Nope. Let me stop you. They do.
Yeah.
Because now what gets to happen is this gets to be used as the episode 8 rubber glue. And this is the thing that says, well, we didn't have a plan for episode 8, but we're not retconning the garbage sequel trilogy. And Snoke is probably a deformed Gideon clone that had the Force or something, or even if they don't. This just proves that the cloning stuff was around, and it's the basis, for the Emperor's cloning bullshit for episode 9. Even though those of us that read books know it, you know what I mean? Everybody else didn't know there was cloning shit. So they'll use this to tie it together and justify their bullshit.
Yeah, they just have, all they need now is the scientist that hates the study that made the Moff Gideon clones and then make the Snoke / Palpatine clone.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And that's what's gonna, and they'll do that at some point. It probably, it could come up in Ahsoka, because one of the major arcs through, Heir of the Empire, I mean, you've read it, is the cloning the Jedi Master, and I think that was the first book. I think that was the major crux of book 1.
They found in book 1, Heir to the Empire, they found the clone Jedi. He was cloned from the very first Jedi.
Right, and Psycho.
Yep.
Cuckoo.
But they were using him to use his Force ability to keep everyone on the same page. That's what they realized when the Emperor died, is that everyone wasn't on the same page anymore. That's what made the pilot so much better, was because they were all focused, single goal, because the Emperor controlled them. Right. And that's what Thrawn was looking for, was that.
Right. So, I mean, that's one of the things that they can, because that character could still conceivably exist live action, that's easy enough to recreate, but just have Ahsoka deal with it instead of, the original big 3 do it. So, I mean, they can keep that. The clone framework is set down. So, villain does his monologue. Gideon shows up like Dark Iron Man, which was kind of cool. I do like the suit. I don't care if it looks like a Power Rangers thing. It looks cool. It's unique enough for me, But I'll pick a bone with this scene when he's fighting Bo-Katan, right? So he's got the power armor, right? But he doesn't have the Force. At what point am I supposed to believe that because he's got power armor on, Moff Gideon is now no longer like a middle-aged Imperial warlord guy? Now he's a very skilled hand-to-hand assassin going toe-to-toe with like a premier Mandalorian mercenary in her prime? Like, because they're slugging it out. He gives her no leeway, like at all. Like they're just absolutely duking it. And he gets the better of her a lot in the exchange. Now I get it. He should be able to throw her as hard and as far as he does, because it is power armor and she's just wearing like regular body armor. See, and that's how he gets to break the hand and all that other, I mean, he's enhanced at that point by the armor. But how's he throwing like 4-hit combos and leg sweeps? Like, dude, you're...
It's the same way Robbie Downey Jr. at 60 years old was taking on aliens. It's the suit. 100%
But he was laser blasting him though, you know what I mean? He wasn't trying to fist fight Thor. He wasn't trying to fist fight Hawk. He didn't even want to fist fight Captain America. You know what I mean? Like, he was like, put the suit on, let's give it a go. And he was like, time is like, nah, we're good. I'm not doing that shit. So, I mean, so that part I thought was a little silly, but I thought the fight overall, it was choreographed well. Like I said before, there were a lot of like intelligent strikes that they both threw at each other situationally, which was fun to watch, because I feel like the whole series was light on enjoyable action bits for that to go through. I thought that was a pretty decent wrap up. I like the cheese of Din and Bo-Katan working them together. That was okay. I liked the Baby Groot involvement. They all did the thing that they could do.
Yeah, like when they were taking on the Red Knights. Like,
I forgot all about that. Yeah,
the way Grogu was there and he was just like, "Oh no, you just fall down real quick. Let's move this over this way."
Yeah. But see, here's where I wish you had watched Book of Boba Fett, right? Baby Yoda should have made sure that literally nobody was in danger at any point this entire season, because we've already seen the maximum application of his Force abilities in Book of Boba Fett, and there was no reason for anybody to ever be in danger at like on a ground combat level in this show. Like, he's more than capable of disassembling giant machines, throwing things. So the minute they come under attack from Gideon's guys in the last episode and they're all trying to run away, it's the reverse of plot armor. It's like it's plot, I don't know what's the expression where it's like you just didn't do it. Like, it's a contrivance. That's what it is. Like, he didn't use abilities that are established in a meaningful way to prevent the disaster, because episode 9 needed to happen. And then it happens again here. When he's surrounded and being chased by 3 Praetorian guards, he's doing the Yoda flip, which didn't look as bad this week, I guess. I don't know. When he's running on the the lighting ring or whatever it was on the top of the room, right? And they're all trying to hack him and get him down. And then he falls, and like this little bit of PVC pipe falls across his chest, and he can't move. I'm like, dude, you have the Force. This is not a problem. This is not some shit that like doesn't work. What they could have done, and you'll know this, and I'm sure they'll use this in Ahsoka, they should have had the stupid lizard things from Heir to the Empire that Thrawn had all around his personal quarters in the bridge that are natural Force dampeners.
Yes.
That way Jedi couldn't come making a run for him and get the better of him with any Force abilities. They'd have to actually come fight.
It was those creatures that allowed cloning to happen to begin with, because once you were cloned, the Force would take over, see that there's two people of the same, and it would drive you insane and technically kill you.
Right.
That's why they had to have those things to dampen the Force so the clones would actually take shape and form.
Again, established in canon, stupidly left by the wayside by the big brains over there at Lucasfilms, because they had the mechanisms to make all this work. So yeah, so as much as, again, I feel like this is, I wish I had my keys, because I feel like it's one good thing, but it's jingling keys, and you're like, oh wow, Baby Yoda did his backflip, and oh no, he's pinned down by PVC pipe, and there's 3 Praetorian guards, and they totally fucked up Paz Vizsla last week. So Baby Yoda's in big trouble. Nope, not in big trouble. Not in big trouble at all. And then Bo-Katan and Din show up, and they, again, the part they get right is they each do the thing they're good at in the moment. So Baby Yoda, like you said, is moving the shit. Din's doing the hand-to-hand combat stuff. Bo-Katan's doing the blaster stuff with the little arm shield, and she's shielding him, and he's taking shots. It was that the interactions there reminded me of old Marvel, like at the end of Avengers, where Iron Man fires a blast and the Captain America deflects it to cut down a couple of bad guys. Like they're working off of each other in tandem. That's pretty cool. Like, okay, more of that. Where's that been? You didn't have to save that, and nobody would have gotten sick of that.
So here's the funny part about Baby Yoda. You know how old Baby Yoda is?
In Baby Yoda years or in people years?
In people years.
50? Something like that?
80.
80. Okay, even better. Still can't talk.
Him and Vader are the same age. So if Vader was still alive, them two are the same age.
God damn it. Dude, I can't take another season of this show, and they'll probably get their 4th, but there's stories out of Lucasfilms that Pedro Pascal's done, and like the 4th season will just be Bo-Katan, but it'll still be the Mandalorian, because obviously they're both Mandalorian. I don't think her spinoff is a thing. I don't think you're ever getting a spinoff with her title.
No, and I think
she's just going to take it over.
His part at the end wasn't saying there's going to be a Mandalorian season 4. I think we're going to see Din in the Rangers.
In her show. Oh, okay.
In the Rangers. Because he's going to come in, as he said, it's going to be a case-by-case basis, and he's going to come and help them out.
But that show's canceled. They're not doing the New Republic Rangers, though. That was Gina's show. Gina's shows, that's off the board.
They can always rewrite it with her out of it and use the
hell yeah,
and use the purple guy and use
they
should.
Yep. He's probably going to be on Ahsoka. I mean, they're all on every show anyway, so it's not even really like it's restricted, because I mean that's a Rebels character, right? That's what you were saying before.
Yeah.
So he'll be on Ahsoka show for sure.
And then it's all to set up the next movie, anyways, the present movie as they refer to it.
If it happens. Big if. But I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. Dude, it's like, let me ask you this as a storyteller to storyteller then. For all the heartfelt good stuff in the ending, the Western ending, the ending on the ranch, are you at all disappointed that literally nobody came up short, that they lost none of the good guys in this episode? We know they're not killing Baby Yoda, because there's a cash tie in there with merchandising, and allegedly he's attached to the Rey Skywalker movie to be, if at all, a thing. So that wasn't going to happen, but should Din have died or something? Or tonally, does that not work for this kind of show? But I'm with the masked gunman going down to save the town, dying in the end. I'm okay with that theme.
If I was writing this episode, the person I would write to die would be the armor. And then Din becomes the new armor. Okay,
yeah, I like that. Second to Bo-Katan, like he's the spiritual, this is the way guy, and she's the civil leader, secular leader, or whichever, but still with her faith, because obviously it's been. Yeah, it's not bad. That's not a bad way to have that. Yep. I guess the show probably, just given its tone and its pace, was probably never set up to have that kind of tragic Dark Knight Rises ending, which is, it's almost too bad, because I think at the very beginning how that show started with like, he's just showing up, he's pulling a guy through a door and the guy gets cut in half. Like, it seemed like it was going to be a kick you in the nuts, no holds barred kind of like, okay, for Disney, this is pretty hardcore. Like, that character on that show probably could have made that kind of ending, like the heroic, I'll hold him off and you guys go on kind of thing. I mean, maybe they didn't want to do that after they did Paz that way the week before. I don't know. But I'm always looking for those kind of gut punches at the end, because it's like, it's almost predictable in a Disney show anyway that everybody gets what they want. Like, when was the last time somebody didn't get what they wanted on one of these shows?
Well, Moff Gideon did what he wanted.
I mean, the good guys. I mean, yeah, the bad guys get got. That's what happens. And I'll be honest, in that moment, when the ship was coming down, and you got Baby Yoda, you got Bo-Katan and Din are all there, and Moff Gideon screaming as like the fire's coming. Right before the fire was coming, I was like, motherfucking Baby Yoda's gonna catch a fucking Star Destroyer. That's what's gonna happen here. And I was waiting for it, and I thought for sure that shit was gonna happen, dude. But then you can actually see it passing behind Moff Gideon in the background as the fire's coming. I'm like, all right, he ain't got time to catch that shit. But the force shield against the flame, I thought that was good. I screen capped that, actually. Maybe I'll send that over. We can add it in here. I just thought it was a cool imagery. It had Groot written all over it from Guardians, and I was a sucker for that scene. I loved that. I thought that was good shit.
Yeah, the part that got me was that she jumped in there with that small shield. I'm like, what are you going to do with that?
But she did. But even though it was dumb, I like it, because it's like, it's what you would do.
Is all she could do at her time.
Yep. Yep. And then he comes over and they're all kind of like covered over until Baby Yoda's like, yo, give me some room. Give me some room. I've been saving this shit, and does his thing. And I'm not sure that's a doable thing. I gotta check my force lore. It might be a thing. I mean, if you can stop and freeze a blaster in midair, emo Ren style, I mean, I guess you could probably hold fire off. I guess.
I believe there's a force shield that you could do that. I think that's in one of the
for fire.
Depends on how powerful you are.
But I mean, is it in a book anywhere? You know what I mean? Like, the books are where the lore comes from. The games, I can't count that, because they force heal in games, and that's not a thing. It is a thing now because it's stupid Rey. But
in one book, Luke cloaked a whole planet, and that's never happened before anywhere except for that one book. Yes.
What book was that?
It was, I think it was I, Jedi.
Oh no, shit! I'll have to go back and look for that. I haven't. I've read Heir of the Empire and like 2 other ones. So I'm not speaking from any kind of like subject matter expert status.
I didn't read the whole book. I was reading like it was before they sold and, like, all the books out there. I was trying to maybe build a reading list of reading the Star Wars books that came out after the movies, and I was there reading because there's wikis on all this. So I was reading it's like Luke became powerful enough to cloak the whole planet, and I'm like,
God damn.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, next level.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody loves him and not the other dipshit. But that's neither here nor there.
Now Luke is a failed instructor,
attempted murderer,
and then a force projected
coward. Yeah, coward. Don't forget that. Green titty milk alien drinking. Yeah. Nobody.
All the stuff that they did in the books is all erased.
Yep. Now, I'm not. You might be a betting guy. You might not be. Odds that Rey drinks any kind of milk and is a social outcast and living on her own if they make her movie.
Well, at least she won't be around her mom eating the cereal with the blue milk.
Oh God! Oh Jesus! That'd be fucking awful. Yeah, I hope they make those movies, because that gives us content for years if they actually come out. Because I'll still be here doing this and. Yeah, no, that'd be good stuff to cover the breakdown. You thought the sequel trilogy was bad? People had people went into the sequel trilogy with like high hopes,
especially after the Force Awakens. The Force Awakens was not that bad, and it opened up so many doors of where they could have gone.
$2.5 billion, right? There was a lot of goodwill going into that, and then TLJ buried it. Yeah, but I'm not sure. You know how like we go back now and we relook at the prequel trilogy and we kind of people kind of rosy glasses it a little bit. You know what I mean? They're a little bit better than we thought they were back then. I don't see that happening for The Force Awakens, even for The Force Awakens out of the 3, because enough people are going to come around and say it basically rehashed A New Hope.
Yeah, that's all it was.
The plots were all the same, you know. And I think people are really just going to be annoyed that it went nowhere with each next movie cleaning up and changing things from the movie that came right before it. I mean, TLJ will always be inexcusable, but Rise of Palpatine is a piece of shit movie for trying to course correct TLJ and being a mess of its own. So there's nothing to, what do you latch onto there for like narrative cohesiveness? There's nothing, you know? So all you have is The Force Awakens, and there's enough, you know, video essay content out there that you guys can watch that absolutely break that movie down for how it doesn't make sense in a bunch of different places and how certain things never would have happened and they never should have been. You know, it's, so I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna, I don't think in 10 years anybody's gonna be clamoring for the sequel trilogy to be back on the big. Dude, did you know last week, Return of the King was in the box office for like a day, right? Matter of fact, it might even be, it was actually it might have been today or yesterday, but it basically, Return of the King from Lord of the Rings was in the box office for one day and like destroyed the box office. Like it made more money than like several new releases on that day.
Oh, of course.
Where's the love for, exactly. I mean, those things should be on a screen somewhere every weekend. They'd clean up. Like that, the love for the sequel trilogy isn't going to be there in 10 years and 20 years. No one's buying a marathon pass at a theater or drive-in to watch these three movies. It's not happening, guys. No. It's just not. There's no love for these characters or stories.
Because next year is the 30th anniversary of a movie. And you know, if they re-release it in theaters, it will clean up. Can you guess
30th anniversary?
30th anniversary.
So 93?
94.
Oh, Jurassic Park?
Year. No.
JP? Okay.
That's actually older.
Yeah, I thought that was 92. Yeah, I thought that was a little. I'm out. What do you got?
Forrest Gump.
Oh, get out of here. Yep. Probably. If they put that in theaters for a day, the boomer crowd will get out and see that. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And we mean real boomers, guys. We don't mean guys in our bracket. We mean the actual boomer crowd. And then also, I guess, you know, Gen X by association.
I saw it in theaters when it first came out.
Yeah, 100%, dude, 100%. But it'll absolutely clean up because people are attached to the character, and there was an interesting story being told. And I think that you can only go the new Star Wars schizophrenic visual route in the short run, because people will go and you'll get the oohs and the ahs, but who's attached to Finn? I'm attached to the idea that he could have been a great character, you know.
By the way, did you catch the throw to Finn in this one? In this episode of Mandalorian?
No.
The last Mandalorian to leave the ship. Doesn't he look like he could be Finn's dad? Had the same...
Oh, yeah! Could have been.
Yeah?
Could have been. I mean, we know Finn was conscripted from an Empire-controlled world, broadly defined. They never say which one, so I mean, it could have been.
Yeah.
I mean, does the timeline work out? If that was Finn's dad as a young man...
Yeah,
that would work, because you remember sequel trilogy is like 30, 40 years later. Yeah, could have been. Absolutely. That's an interesting possible tie-in. But that's what I mean, guys. Like, YouTube is filled of channels and videos of people that I think have like a favorable view, and they're entitled to it. We say that all the time. I'm not here to knock your taste in anything you like, but you're just not going to throw any kind of shade my way about not liking it and hit me with the the insults of you don't like this because of that. I'm like, no, dude, I'm the guy that's been saying I wanted the Black Jedi 10 years ago. Like, that's not about I don't like Rose Tico because she doesn't look like me. You know, so if you like the sequel trilogy, that's fine, but I'm gonna not like it, and it's not because I don't like these people. That's stupid. I think YouTube is full of people and channels that write headcanon in such a convincing way that I think they convince themselves and others that the sequel trilogy is just better than it is. You know, like, let me ask you this, right? 10 years from now, is anybody holding Poe Dameron in the same kind of cultural esteem as Han Solo?
No.
True.
Which is another waste of a great possible character.
Oh, dude, of course. Oh, dude. His whole arc through 3 movies after he escaped capture should have been him being antagonistic with somebody like an Admiral Holdo, but a better character, about, I've seen what they have, you need to believe me, there's something coming. And then at the end of The Force Awakens, they do their big booming hyper cannon thing, and he's like, I tried to tell you, but this is what happens. Like there was something there to work with. You're exactly right. Same thing for the next guy, right? In 10 years, is anybody remotely holding Kylo Ren in the same kind of cultural fixture point as Darth fucking Vader? Anybody?
No.
I mean, the biggest Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley shipper on the planet won't be saying he's anywhere near Vader's level of like cultural import or significance.
The only cool thing that I liked between them two was their Force connection, to be able to pass through the Force.
Again,
that was the coolest thing of that.
Another interesting idea, but when it goes too far, it becomes like the Holdo maneuver. If you can pass things physically through the Force, why are we just not doing this all the time? Why are we not using you as a teleporter all the time? Like, they should be able to do that Force, what's it called? Remote viewing, like how he knew she was somewhere because he stole the necklace. But I mean, if their connection was tight enough, maybe he could have seen through her eyes and seen that she was on Kashyyyk or wherever she was going to be if we were writing a new one. You know what I mean? Like, that would be okay. But it's like that Force passing thing. That's the buy that they use at the end of Rise of Skywalker. We're like, surprise! Now I've got an extra lightsaber because she had one, but she took it out of her bag of holding through the dimensional portal and gave me the. You know what I mean? It's like they go too far. Like the Holdo maneuver ruins space combat. We all know that. It's like it's done now.
Yeah.
You put a hyperdrive on an asteroid and fucking send it.
And to tell you the truth, it would have been better if it was explained if like Luke and Leia can do it because they're twins.
Yes.
But two
Fine.
random
Limited
Force users being able to use it doesn't make that much sense.
Right, but this is what I'm saying about the sequel trilogy on hold. Like the legit, like the first time they show Skywalker, the real Skywalker, Luke, using the Force is at the end of A New Hope, and all it is he just fucking settles down and takes a good shot. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't believe he willed the shot in. I believe he was just at peace. He was zen. You know what I mean? And he took the shot and the universe worked.
Because
that was
one of the big things of the Force they didn't really hit on in the movies all that much was the meditation. Like, you had a little bit of Vader in his pod that was like a noise cancellation or an isolation pod.
Yep.
And then you had Yoda who would meditate.
Master, by the way. You know what I mean? So everything he does is above board as far as I'm concerned. That's fine with me.
And that was the thing with Luke too. He was finding that center point. Because remember, when he was training with Obi-Wan on the Millennium Falcon, it wasn't until he calmed down, started taking breaths, that he started being able to block
to beat the remote,
battles.
right? Mm-hmm.
And that's all it was he was finding that connection. Not that he willed it in, but that connection he needed.
Well, it's like you said, it's a matter of focal point, because when he gets captured by the what's the ice monster thing on Hoth called? Why can't I remember it? It's got a name. It's eluding me. Comments, guys. Somebody
I just
you're
remember
watching
the Tom.
still. That's the one he was riding. The thing that captures him, and he's sticking up in the ice. He's hanging upside down. He's reaching for the lightsaber. We have no idea what he's doing. The first time you saw that as a kid, you had no idea what he's doing because it doesn't make any kind of sense. It's like, oh shit, I can't reach. But then he closes his eyes. They slow the music down. It gets all cueing. And then the lightsaber just twitches, and then very dramatically comes to him when he needs it so he can free himself and kill the monster and escape. But like, that's it. It never needed to be explained because we knew that the Force was just this thing. It was just out there. It was just energy that Obi-Wan says, it'll obey your commands when you're ready. You know what I mean? Like, there's a point where Luke asks the question, if it's alive or if it's sentient or something. I don't remember the dialogue. I'd have to, if I hear it in context, I'd do the whole scene. But like, he's like, no, but it surrounds a Jedi. It informs our movements. It's this and that, but it will obey your commands. So that was like the first little thing he did. Fast forward to the sequel trilogy, we got people picking up mountain ranges of boulders. We got Force healing. We got stupid, Force door-to-door DHL, FedEx, Amazon delivery systems. We got Force projection across the galaxy. And I'll give that one a pass because it's Luke, and he should have been the most powerful Force user alive at the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Also,
except that in that same movie. Right. Right. It's basically like a charging system where he was, right?
Yeah.
But he had also cut himself off for so long. So like how, like it's just one more thing that like you had an idea, but when you one little thing over, it all falls apart. Like when Yoda shows up in that movie. The first time I saw the movie, I was like, okay, it's cool to see Yoda back. But he's calling out lightning strikes into the real world and like setting temples and trees on fire and shit. Like, bro, where were you in The Force Awakens when you could have stopped the genocide of the Hosnian system? A little lightning strike might have been useful then, you know. But like, no, we're not doing that shit. You know, at the end of Rise of Skywalker, like, wait a minute. If you could have convened with all the Jedi this long, where have you guys been? Like, why have you just been watching some shit? Like, come help. Come help. We got smoked in TLJ. Smoked. The only thing that movie got right was the tone at the end where, like, the good guys absolutely got pantsed. And it was very Empire-like. That was the only good thing down the stretch, is that they hit that, you know? And as much as I hate the movie, I did like the whole boy with the broomstick thing at the end, is that there are other Force wielders out there that aren't Skywalker. So it's not that anybody can be a Jedi, it's that anybody can be a Jedi. You know, you just don't know who's out there that has the power. It's not something you can work at. You either have the gift or you don't. You know what I mean? And that little kid did. And
introducing that little kid was the whole purpose of Side Quest City.
I mean, is that not the only justifiable thing? I mean, because Side Quest City was fucking dumb. Like, what did we... This isn't a TLJ show, but I mean, did they accomplish anything there? They showed up to get a cracker, or a hacker cracker, whatever they called it in the movie. Yeah, Slicer. It's whatever they're called. Slicer. In this universe, it's Slicer, right?
Yep.
They get there. They don't find the guy they want. They find another guy that double crosses him, and he gets what he wants because he gets away. Like... It was they did that so they could give Finn and Rose something to do, so they could justify them being there. Like, well, either give them something useful to do, or don't have them. And then that's what they did in fucking episode 9. Rose Tico's like, I'd love to come with you guys, but General Leia said I have to stay at the base and check the radar. Like, okay, well, you're out. Make sure you're back for the big horse riding scene again. And then she was, you know, it's just so bad. But let's do this before we get out of here, because we've already gone an hour. We've gone, well, no, what have we gone, about 45, 50, something like that? I don't know, I'm running an hour because we started early. All right, let's do one little last segment right here, right, for Mandalorian. I, in good faith, don't tell younger Star Wars fans, family members, cousins, things like that, people at work. I tell them not to waste their time with the sequel trilogy. It's a watch at your own risk kind of thing. I challenge them and I say, you know, if you go back and you watch the original trilogy, if you watch 4, 5, and 6 in order, by the end of the movies, by the end of 6, you'll have been told a cohesive story that makes sense, that has through lines. It's massively emotionally gratifying. At the end of all 3 movies, you get Luke destroying the Death Star and Han coming back. At the end of Empire, you get the major downer that Vader is Luke's father. He loses his hand. It looks like he's going to die. But then you get a major connective piece between Luke and Leia where she hears him and she goes back to Bespin and saves him. We lose Han to Boba Fett. He's in Carbonite. Massive emotional ending. The end of Jedi, we get Luke and Vader dueling finally on like equal ground. And Luke has that moment where you think he's going to go, but then he sees Vader's sliced off robot hand and he's like, nah, I'm not joining. I'm out. And the Emperor gets all pissed and kills him, and then they kill a Death Star and they make it out because Vader does his thing. Where is any of that in the sequel trilogy, dude? Where is the connective tissue? Where are the arcs that rise, or the arcs that follow through, the tension that rises? I didn't give that one shit.
The difference between the first 6 and the last 3 is one cohesive vision.
Yep.
From start to finish. J.J. Abrams jumps in, even though I love J.J. Abrams, I love his stuff. But he jumps in and he's like, okay, I'm going to oversee this, but I'm going to let you do your thing over there and let you do whatever you want to do. And then I'm going to find someone else. Then after the huge flop of The Last Jedi that lived, love that joke.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, I need to come back in here and try to salvage this. Oh, by the way, at the end of this, you're fired and you would never touch Star Wars again.
But it's like you said, man. Like, I don't get, you know, we're both sports fans, right? You get these moments every year during draft season or during the, you know, trade deadlines where you sit there and you're like, the fuck were you thinking? For whatever, and you and I talk about like the Lamar Jackson situation like on a weekly basis, and there's more for him now too. With we're not doing sports today, but he's got a couple of statements out there. But like, you have those moments, right? Until this trilogy, I'd never seen that in movies before. Billion-dollar IPs where they're like, let's write this shit by committee. We'll just throw some shit at the wall. We'll just see, what's going to stick. Oh, you want to do your movie as a musical? Okay. I'm going to do mine as a rom-com. Okay. Like, it's like, what was the point? And it's like you said, it suffers down the stretch from all of the kind of things that bind the first two trilogies together. Now, no one on earth, unless you literally, your entry point to Star Wars was the prequel trilogy, is ever, and you just like the effects, is ever going to tell you it's better than the original trilogy. The story's not as good. The only good things about the prequel trilogy literally is Order 66. That's it. Like, it just ends on such a massive gut punch. You're like, okay, it was kind of okay and worth it. Oh yeah, Phantom Menace was kind of slow, but Darth Maul was kind of cool. I wish they did more with them. Attack of the Clones had bad dialogue, but Anakin did some cool shit, did some sick shit with the Sand People, and the arena battle scene with all the Jedi had people rolling. That was kind of cool. Yoda doing the flippy with Count Dooku, whatever.
Yep.
There's a couple points here and there, and then Sith had Anakin really going off the deep end, even before Order 66. Like, he was going. You had the General Grievous stuff at the beginning. There was enough, In 10 years, and again, I say the 10-year mark, what are people going to be? Why would anybody tell me to go back and watch the sequel trilogy? For what? What's that one? What's their Yoda rising the X-Wing out of the swamp moment from this trilogy? What? You know what I mean? I was just saying to you the other day, like when we did last episode, we were almost running late doing the episode because my brother and I were stuck late at my mother's house on Easter because Empire was on cable, and it was just at the part where Luke met Yoda and Yoda was still playing the fool. I was like, oh fuck, now I gotta stay here 45 minutes and see him do the training scene and then raise the X-Wing. I can't miss that. I can't. I won't miss the Death Star run. I won't miss the Luke Vader duel in Jedi in Return. What's the moment from this trilogy? Just pick one. Give me one from 3 movies, dude. What do you have to see?
And to tie this all back into The Mandalorian, which started this whole rant, is that's the reason why the first season of The Mandalorian was so good. Because it brought Star Wars back to center.
Yep.
Because you had the trash that was the sequel trilogy, and then they came with Mandalorian, and it was like, this is everything we wanted to be. It was so good. And then the second season had the huge Skywalker payoff at the end, which was great.
Yep.
And then you had the show that will ruin every episode of Star Wars from here on out because it set the bar so high they just can't keep up with it, which goes back to the original point of the original 6. It had one guy in charge who had one vision, and he made it happen. That was Andor. And if you haven't watched Andor yet, you need to watch Andor because it will...
Playlist button right here. There it is.
I'm telling you, because it was one guy's vision who kept everything straight through the story. He's like, we had to have this little peak and then this valley. We gotta have this peak and then this valley. And we're gonna tell this story over 12 episodes. So we just space it out. And oh, by the way, Sarsgaard, here's the points we need to hit. Now you just go out there and do your thing.
Right. Here's a bag of money. Go be great at what you do, established actor and master of your craft. Dude, you're exactly right, man. And I'm glad you touched on Andor because I think it's Andor as a show is in a lot of ways, although it's vastly superior in terms of production, it's what it got the treatment I think that Solo got as a movie. Remember, they put Solo out 5 months after TLJ.
Yeah.
And all the studios thought people were just going to show up. And dude, not only nobody give a fuck, people outright defiantly just refused to go see it.
Because we didn't need to see his backstory.
Yep. But but more than that, I think people were just like, oh, okay, so this is how you're going to do Luke. Okay. All right, well, okay. Come May, I'm not seeing your bullshit. And I think a lot of people just stuck to that gun on top of just not needing to have those kind of blank spaces filled in for Solo. Yeah,
now, I do have to say the casting in Solo was really good. That guy pulled off a great young Harrison Ford. And the guy they got to play Lando, which is one of my friends, one of my favorite guys from Community. And
Donald Glover. Yeah.
Daniel.
Yep.
Yeah. That guy.
Yeah, Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They casted right in it, but it was an unnecessary story.
I did not like Emilia Clarke in the role of Kira, but the two guys I thought were okay. They were good, and they had Paul Bettany as the kind of villain. I mean, he was the mob boss or Empire guy or whatever.
Of course, when we had Woody
laser
Harrelson in
daggers.
as well.
Yeah, also good. Thandie Newton was Woody Harrelson's what? But see, I don't want to do Solo time. Maybe we should watch that and do a 5-year retrospective on Solo or however long it's been, because there's stuff to pick apart in that, like a couple of people that died that didn't make sense at all. You know, just the origins of the Rebel Alliance were started by a 14-year-old girl. Okay, sure they were, but there's some stuff to talk about there. But yeah, to tie it for my final thing, just because we're going big now, I'll tie it back to the Mandalorian too. Like I was saying, I can't justify that people see the sequel trilogy because it just doesn't do anything down the stretch in any kind of meaningful way. I think if I was going to tell people to watch The Mandalorian, I'd probably just tell them to watch the first 2 seasons, honestly, and be like, yeah, there's a 3rd season, but they do nothing new. You know what I mean? Or maybe watch the first 2 seasons and then literally the finale of season 3 and just pretend that they just get the ranch house at the end. Because I don't think season 3 did anything on its own.
The 3 last episodes. Just so you just see the build up.
Oh yeah, because you have to know Gideon's back and this and that. Because you'd know Gideon from season 1.
Yep.
And then season 2 because he was there, right? So it's a good point.
And you saw that he was taken into custody at the end of season 2. So this will show him getting...
And the breakout episode was 7. Yeah, you're right. That's probably how I would run that. Because I just don't think... I mean, outside of that arc there, it's like everything that happened before that, borderline throwaway. Like, it almost... The 6 episodes leading into that probably could have been 3. Like, you could have banged out Bo-Katan seeing the mythosaur and the reuniting her people thing. I feel like just so much of that could have been condensed. And there was too much... Like, you've said it all season. A lot of side questing for what? Where did it get us?
With no payoff.
Like, you know... What's with zero payoff?
Dry cardboard dialogue.
Dude, dry cardboard. I'd call it hot dog shit. I'd call it 10 pounds of dog shit in a 5-pound bag for most of the year. Dude, also, again, glaringly missing from this episode. There was nothing, I don't remember a line of dialogue in this episode where I looked over at my shadow and was like, the fuck did he just say that for? Like, nothing was out of place here, with the exception, because I was talking to a friend elsewhere about this. It's like, dialogue is stupid when it starts and ends with a character's name like every time it's done. Like, if we were in scene, I'd be like, King Z, we gotta grab the generators and get down to the flight bay, King Z, before the Empire comes. And then you'd be like, Winter Wolf, I'll be right there because I need to go get the Winter Wolf. Like, no, by episode 9 we know your name. We're the main characters on the show. We know who Bo-Katan and Din Djarin are, and I feel like the names came up way too much.
Yeah.
But I don't remember that happening last episode. So I was like, okay, so this is back to form. This was par for course for like Mandalorian season 1 and 2. There's some dumb shit that you got to excuse in terms of like the TIE fighters going up and the gauntlets coming down. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just grease these ships and not let them have reinforcements? The capital ship can do nothing. Like, they're on a skeleton, like, so don't take the bait. And I'm like, I don't think Moff Gideon would take the bait there because he's Gus Fring. You know what I mean? Like, he's Gus. He's Darth Gus. Like, he's not stupid. But yeah, I feel like there's not enough in this season to justify a whole watch. Yeah. Like you said, maybe 7, 8, and 9 are probably a good jump off, or a good wrap up to seasons 1 and 2.
Or come and watch our review and you did the whole story anyway.
Yeah.
So.
You get the whole thing, because we've come at it a couple of different ways this year. So I don't know, dude. If we had some, what do they call it when the routine's gone on too long for like stand up? Like wrap up music. Do we have wrap up music? We just silently cue that in the private chat. That way I know we've gone on too long. Dude, I don't know, man. I had fun watching this one too, but I think that's just because I like vibing with you when we get together to do these shows. I mean, we could probably, I know you haven't seen Boba Fett. It's only 6 episodes. Maybe when I come back from vacation, I'll rewatch that agony just with you to get your take on it. I think that should be hilarious. You could pick Boba Fett or Kenobi. We could do it. Yeah, so I enjoy having you on, bud. It's always fun to break this garbage or good stuff down. High or low, doesn't matter. It's always a good show. So I appreciate you being here, bud. Yeah,
not a problem. I'm enjoying this. I've always wanted to do something like this. Just never really found what I would talk about. And you invited me on. It was a lot of fun. Just wanted to do it.
Speaking of a lot of fun, why don't you, for the folks that are still here, I'll do it this week. I'll do the read. Dude, likes if you hear this long, comments if you want to hear us not talk this long, or if you want us to go even more in depth and do more scene-to-scene breakdowns like we did on Andor instead of just kind of a ramble fest. But I also wanted to get out of here and let King Z let you guys know about the bigger project we're working on. Not sure how much we want to disclose, if any, with the special event in the den.
Hey, part of the interruption right here. but we're looking to do a lot better content. Maybe every Saturday, I'm thinking that we could do a live show where we'll be hitting up some topics. And if you caught the drop there, go ahead and comment. Let us know. Also, we have some other recorded shows that we're going to be dropping here soon. Hopefully, the first one will be coming out soon. We actually mentioned this video in that video, so please, just play along with us.
Got a little meta there for a second there. True that. But yeah, no, I think expanding out to other ideas is going to be big fun for sure. Definitely. Yeah. Some of those things we got planned.
One of the other things I would like to add is at the end of these shows, we're going to have some recommendations. And if you do like Star Wars, I got a Star Wars knockoff for you, but it's in book form. It's called Galaxy's Edge, which, I mean, Star Wars has Galaxy's Edge too, so I don't know how this guy's not being sued, but...
Maybe he had it first.
It's called Galaxy's Edge. Suing. I believe they're at like 15 books in this series now. It's a
15?
It's a military sci-fi series, and in the first two, well, actually the first one, there's no real tie-in to what Star Wars is, but as you go through and you listen to the other books in this, you're going to see, like, man, they totally ripped that off from Star Wars. Oh, that's another story. Then there's another guy who totally ripped this series. Like, it's almost the exact same plot points. I'm like, I've heard this story. I liked it much better when it was Galaxy's Edge. But the first book is called Legionnaires. Go ahead and give that a listen. And it's read by, if you do audiobooks, R.C. Bray, which is a great voice actor who does sci-fi type. That's pretty much his genre, sci-fi. So that's my recommendation. Oh, you're going to ask that question. I know that.
Audiobook and the book series. Narration for the audio.
Yeah, I know all that stuff.
I didn't ask you that. I didn't ask you where it was published. I just figured folks might want to know.
It is written by Jason S. I have ANSPACH and Nick Cole.
All right, I'm looking up the first dude's name. True that. All right, dude, appreciate the recommendations. You want to say goodbye to the people and then I'll walk us out of here?
All right, so this is farewell from The Mandalorian. As you heard, Winter Wolf's going to go on vacation, but hopefully we can get one more of these recorded so we can drop one while he's on vacation. We have an idea for which one we want to do. We'll talk more about it after we go off the air. But thank you for joining us for our trip through Mandalorian. We gave it in 2 different formats. Let us know which one you liked better. All right, well, y'all take care. I'll let Winter Wolf
thank you, King Z, for coming by. King Z over there, Winter Wolf over here. Like you said, we're going to try and get one more to squeeze in until I take off for warmer weather for a little while, but we'll be back the week after that for sure. Right on schedule. We'll cover whatever we want to do. He's signaling for a go Red Wings situation there. I'm more of a Boston Bruins guy myself, and I think we're handling business pretty okay. But we'll see you guys in the next one. Laters. Nice.